driver off the deck for Corey Connors.
Here's driver off the deck for Victor Hovland.
So the driver off the deck. I know you would try this, right?
Oh my, what a shot.
Just to be able to hit it off the deck and get that thing down and fly it in running.
You have to put your foot on the gas. You pull out the driver off the deck and you put it on the green all the way up the hill.
I'm Josh Decker, and this is Off the Deck, where the game is just the beginning. Welcome into another episode of Off the Deck. I am Josh Decker. I am thrilled to have Brian Parks with us today, VP of Engineering at L.A.B Golf or L.A.B Putters. So we go by L.A.B Golf. I think L.A.B Golf. Right?
Golf, yeah.
L.A.B Golf. Brian, how are we today?
Doing good, man. It's an exciting week for us with a new release this week. So good stuff all around. The vibes are high at the company, that's for sure.
I love that. Well, one of the things I thought about when I was approached about doing this podcast, you immediately came to mind as a guest. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast, because it's guys like you who I randomly meet on a Tuesday at a bar in Eugene, Oregon. And then we end up playing golf together that Saturday at Sheep Ranch and developed some kind of a relationship to the point that when JJ Spahn's 64-foot putt drops, I'm sending you a text and like I'm running around celebrating in my house like I work for you. But it's great how golf brings people together, and that's why this show exists. So right before we came on, you had a ball hit your window. The new headquarters for L.A.B is right there on the golf course. That was an interesting way to jump into a podcast, but exciting news. Let's just talk real quickly about what you guys just announced with the heel shafted putter.
Yeah. So, with L.A.B's previous technology and how we balance putters is a lot different when I always like to use air quotes on zero torque, because technically and physics wise, there's a torque generated in order to create a self-correcting putter. But the idea of it staying square to the target, it's been awesome. And it's the validation of, all the other companies, who never dipped their toes into it, just all of a sudden doing it this last year and a half. It's great. And for us, we're never satisfied, right? We're always continuing to design other things. I think what's interesting about L.A.B, I've been here for just over 2 years in June. And my background in mechanical engineering for 25 years previous to that was designing all kinds of wild stuff. So I've been a golfer for a long time. The majority of my life, I grew up as a baseball player, and not like a lot of our buddies, and got into golf. But the idea of the heel shafted was more of like, hey, can we do it? And we've tinkered with it. I mean, it wasn't like this was our first stab at it, but for us, the focus on making the current product that we had at those times the best that they could be was the focus. And the team that we had, when I first started, I only had a couple guys, 3 technically, for me. And now my team is 7, and we're getting ready to add another one next week. And that's going to be another amazing add to our team. But the heel shafted side of it was like, can we do it? And I got posed the question towards the end of last year. And the kind of idea that came across my desk was, do you want to do a new head, or can we use one of our current heads? And I instantly said the Oz, not because I just finished, designing that with my team, with Kevin Martin, who's number 2 employee. He's been here for the whole time since the company was down in Reno. Kevin's been here. And so we kind of chatted about it and said, hey, can we make the Oz work? It lended itself the best to be able to attach what we call the riser, which in traditional sense is known as the hosel. And I'll talk about why it's the riser in a second. But anyhow, they said, yep, go for it and see what you can do. And normally something like this in my background is like a 12 to 15 month development cycle in just R&D. And fortunately, because of the experience that we've had designing other lie angle balanced putters, and, having somebody like Kevin that's been with the company since the beginning, we kind of came up with the idea of where to mount that riser and make it function the way that we needed to function as a lie angle balanced putter. Because it's funny, I got to go to Detroit for my first PGA Tour event this year to go to the Rocket Classic. And the whole point of me going was that's where we showed it for the first time. And the Golf WRX photographer, Greg, who's a good guy, came up to me right away and was like, can I take pictures? I said, that's why we're here. And then he came back 15 minutes later. He goes, I just uploaded them, so let's see what happens. And it's hard to keep secrets in this industry and other industries that I've worked in consumer goods. So I was happy that we were able to kind of keep it under wraps to debut it there. And the response that we got was amazing. But the reality is that not everybody loves a center shafted putter. I mean, I even say it before I worked at L.A.B, I would have, my friends that had one, you had a few rare friends that would have a random center shafted putter. It just didn't appeal to me. So, that's, if you've ever played in a foursome where three guys have a L.A.B putter and one guy doesn't, usually that one guy's like, man, I just can't do center shafted. That's why we did heel shafted. It wasn't really to like give the middle finger to all the guys that are trying to copy us and do stuff like that. It was more of, let's continue our technology into what a more traditional, or somebody who's coming from a heel shafted that can now they can embrace and be excited about having L.A.B technology where their putter's staying square to their path and they have something that they like to look down at. So, the development time went faster than I thought. We got a prototype in 4 months that balanced and worked at one lie angle. And then for us, because we offer lie angles in this instance, we offer it from 65 degrees to 74 degrees. When you go buy a standard putter, they're 70 or 71, and you've putted with tons of guys before where you've seen them, their toes up. And that's just because they've never been fit before. And for us doing lie angle balance, that's the key, is that the putter needs to fit you. And so, making sure that it fit the full envelope, that was the next months of development. Was then we went into testing every lie angle for those lie angles. And how we got to it is the highest lie angle makes the riser taller. And I actually have a thing that I can show here that shows the different risers. So at 65 degrees, it's shorter, and at 74 degrees, it's taller. The function of that is the physics and the design and the math equation that goes into making lie angle balance functional. And at the USGA, when you look at the putter rules and regulations, there's only about 6 pages, I think, on putters in that whole rule book on club compliance. And there's one rule in there where the first bend can't be higher than about 5 inches. And so the 74 degree is well below that. But we noticed when it started getting taller like that, we are making that riser out of aluminum, which is different too. Normally you'd make a component like that out of stainless steel, but we needed the weight value of it to be lower in order to balance it the way that we balance it. We put the riser through FEA analysis in our CAD tool and found that it was pretty strong at 60, 61. And then we sent out finished putters to a destructive test laboratory where they mounted the putter in a vise and then they use a piston. Like if you've ever seen those videos on YouTube where they crush stuff, basically they crushed a multitude of putters for us with different shafts to tell us the value of failure. And we saw that it held over 350 pounds before that riser started to fail, which was good because you think about, everybody leans on their putter to reach down and get a ball. They'll bang it on the ground out of frustration and
Right.
stuff like that. And that's the cool thing about a design, is that you have to really think about what I call all the elements of the equation. And people are going to use your product no matter what you're designing. They're going to use your product in a way that you haven't thought of. Like, and when I mean use, it's more than just putting. It's the anger, the frustration, and stuff like that. So being mindful and thoughtful of the design, and that we could pull this off by using an aluminum component, was important. So it's a big step for L.A.B. I think that the more people get to learn about having a heel shafted option right now, as far as I know, like, it's been doing great at the stores. Our sales yesterday were pretty decent for a day one release, but it still reveals in our revealer. We get a lot of those questions, but it was funny online, man. Like those first pictures that came out from Detroit, we as a team decided, based on management, that we weren't going to reply to anything on social media. We were just going to let the pictures sit. But all the questions in like a Golf WRX forum were like, oh, they're just doing a toe hang putter so that they have a heel shafted model, the option out for people, so they have an option to use that. Wasn't true, but we weren't going to say anything yet. And the reality was, we'll never do anything that's not lie angle balanced. But the idea that we would just do this thing and it was going to be like face balance or have a little bit of toe hang was funny. And so it's fun to see. It's fun to read the comments, negative or positive, but also too, the comments help with just design features as we move forward through other designs. But it was wild to see everybody's mind go crazy. Like, oh, is this still L.A.B, or they just did this to do it? And is it like other heel shafted stuff that's zero torque? And it's not, because of how we balance. So the heel shafted project has been awesome. And it doesn't mean that now everything that we release is going to be hill shafted. That's not it. We've got our 2026 lineup, our roadmap for next year is awesome. We got a lot of awesome stuff coming out next year that I can't wait for people to see. But we're going to continue to be lab, and the majority of our stuff is going to be center shafted.
I love that. Well, and so you mentioned that early on, talking about the difference between the hill shaft and the center shaft and how it's so different for someone to have a center shafted putter. So happenstance meets you that Tuesday evening in Eugene, and by the end of the night, we're talking about my measurements, looking at everything, my putting stroke, my forward press, all those things. And then that Saturday, you showed up to Sheep Ranch with my order. And I putted with a center shaft putter and had never used one in my life, nor had I ever putted with a lab putter. And it was, mind blowing. And another friend of mine ordered one as well on that trip. And he still loves his. I'm pretty sure he sleeps with his at night. And it's just, it's so different. One of the fascinating things, you mentioned the revealer. When I was looking about just the history of Lab, and it's being founded in 2018 by Sam, and then that the revealer was created by Bill Pressey, who created the directed force putter.
Yeah,
you have some of those laying around there at the office from back in the day. But
we do.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So real quick, the inventor and initial creator of Langle Balance was Bill Pressey. So when Sam purchased the company in 2018-ish timeframe, that story is actually really awesome. And there's a lot of podcasts with Sam on it describing that story. But so the story with Bill was that he's a PGA teaching professional. He's an avid golfer. He's stoked to the bones about being curious and creative. And he used to do, before it got banned, he would do what they call the forearm lock, where you could lock the putter and it would go up almost to your bicep. And he let go of a putter, just holding it, and watched it twist as it went down his arm. And he's like, now let me think about this for a minute. So he went and got a crutch out of his garage. So the revealer was invented before Langle Balance. So he went and got a crutch, and he took the bottom half of it off, and he got some fishing line and a swivel, and he mounted putters that he had in his shop there, and he was swinging them and watching them swim and fish all over the place. So our technical term that we call it is swimming. When we put a putter in a revealer and it moves, we call it swimming. So what he did was he basically reverse engineered different putter heads to get to where it would start to stay square. And then he worked with a mechanical engineer that had an office close by him to help him come up with the math and the physics of why and how he could make Langle Balance possible. And bam, directed force was created. And so the DF2 is the putter that you see now that came from that. And that's going to be, it's our flagship putter. It's our logo. Yeah, that putter will never go away. And look at, like, Ricky's using it, making it popular again this year, which is awesome. Richard Bland is like, he uses it on the Champions Tour. But the idea that, to be creative enough and say, hey, look, I want to, tinker and figure out why, even though he couldn't do the engineering of it, he got that support and got that help. And the company took off for as good as it could. At the time, the social media side of golf stuff wasn't there. And the story of Sam having a directed force putter, having the head fall off, and he calls up directed force, and Bill's on the other line, and he's like, hey buddy, my putter just broke. And then they kind of become friends over the phone. And then the whole deal comes up with the opportunity for Sam to purchase the company. And that's how that came about. And then it moved up here because Sam happened to be up in Eugene, which we get a lot of questions about. So it's fun to talk about that. We're not in Carlsbad where everybody else is. We're in Eugene, Oregon, and it's a little bit different up here. The golf here is great. We're 2 hours and 25 minutes from Bandon. But that story is a fun story of, if you look at where we're at now, 7 years, 8 years isn't that long. And that time went by fast to see where we're at now. I always like to tell the story. When I started, back then, a couple of years ago, I was employee number 50, and we have over 230 now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy growth. Yeah, and what, just moved into a 65,000 square foot building?
No. So the building we're in is an old fitness club. So we're on Emerald Valley Golf Course, which is the home course for the Eugene, for the Oregon Ducks here in Eugene. We're just south of Eugene, like 10 minutes. And when they moved in here, they had, 25 or 30 employees, and they were like, wow, this space is overwhelming. And now we're like bursting at the seams. So what we did is where I'm sitting right now used to be an indoor Olympic-sized swimming pool that used to be for the gym. And then the ninth green for the Emerald Valley Golf Course is right outside my window here. And we just recently have done a bunch of renovation and took over the whole building at the first of the year and making space for more people to work and come in. And as we add new hires, but our new R&D space is awesome. We're still kind of settling in with all of our equipment, but yeah, we didn't move into a new space. We just kind of grew it into our own manufacturing facility. Directly above me was a ballroom that they used for, like, if you're going to have a wedding or an event at the golf course. Since we took that over, now we have a giant indoor putting green that we use for fittings. If you come here and get fit in person, you get to get fit in this super awesome space that looks out, as panoramic windows that look out over the golf course. We've got Quintech fitting. We've got putt view. It's a really special space. So we really wanted to stay here. We did look at potentially getting production into another building, but we've made it work so far. So we're going to keep doing it.
That's wild. I didn't realize that. I was just reading over notes and it looked like I'd move, but no, that's even cooler that you just expanded, just outgrew the space you were in instead of moving anywhere else. You're just like, okay, we'll take that. We'll move here. We'll expand here, do all that. So you've been with the company 2 years. What's the most challenging technical problem that you've solved? And let's disregard the heel shaft if that was it. But in terms of something that your team has been tasked with that was like, okay, wait a minute. We know the market needs this.
Yeah, outside of the heel shafted, when we released the Oz 1i, the I being insert, Labs never had an insert putter. And the feedback that we've gotten is all the putters have been aluminum with the exception of the Link, which is the only blade putter, and it's stainless steel, is that, a lot of people just like the feel. And then there's a lot of people that are like, it feels too soft. So when we went about, finding a solution to have an insert on a putter, and worked with Adam Scott to design the Oz 1, I did from my background in history is I basically went and took everything apart. That's what you do. I had an idea of how I wanted it to work, but to validate that idea, I went with my team and I said, hey, let's order up a bunch of, insert putters, because there's a lot of ways to assemble them. A lot of people, they use adhesive or they tape it in or they fasten it in. And for us in our process, and we ship like 35,000 putters a month, I needed to be able to design an insert that was functional, but also assemblable, like in a way that didn't add more time to the assembly process. So with the stainless steel insert, I wanted a really solid mechanical, connection between the stainless steel component and the aluminum component. So working through that, we wanted to make sure that you're getting that stainless steel feel, that hotter, the clickier sound feel. So we didn't want to just tape it in or glue it in. So we made sure that we mechanically connect it. There is tape inside under the insert. It helps for assembly and it helps for acoustics. But for the most part, it's a stainless steel component that's firmly mounted to the aluminum head. And that challenge was, hey, how do we do this? And obviously there's USGA regulations on things and how things mount. And then also too, it needs to feel good. It needs to not sound like crap and things like that. So that was a fun challenge, but it was something that I was up for, and like my team, and kind of inspiring them on my background. I was an automotive engineer for 12 years and I used to design performance and aftermarket parts for the early part of my career. And that's what we did is you take a bunch of stuff apart, you test and test and test and build prototypes. And then we got to what you guys see now in the insert version of the Oz.
Yeah, and that's the one I have, and I'll never forget our first conversation on the first green at Sheep Ranch, and me asking you like, okay, what do I do? And you go, you just hit it. It's all in the technology. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to overthink it because of how we've manufactured and designed this putter. As long as you get it online, you're going to hit the putt where you intend to hit it. As I'm typically before that trip, I was a blade putter, and I would miss hit putts entirely too often, if we're being frank. And that has completely changed with the Oz. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's the face is soft, or at least for me. I'm not anything special in terms of my putting ability, but I feel like I get more putts online with the Oz. How involved in the design of that? You mentioned Adam Scott at the outset of that comment. How involved was Adam Scott in that process?
So at the very beginning, when we launched the project, he came out here for a day and spent a day with our team, and they did a bunch of filming for all different kinds of content to create with him. So we presented a slide deck of multiple designs, and the one that he had initially settled on kind of looked like what you see now. And it's interesting if you look at like our product page and his initial ask when Sam called me, I had just barely signed and just started, and I was actually still in Washington. I hadn't moved down here yet. He's like, "Hey, do you want to, take a stab at this?" And I go, "Well, what did he say he wants?" And he basically said, he goes, "I want the back of a Porsche 911 and the top of a Rossi." And I was like, "Well, all right." So I basically kind of modeled that, and it kind of looked too much like a Rossi. He really he likes that half moon shaped style. And then I had another model that I had designed that looks like the Oz, and he liked that, but we had to refine it. So that one day that we spent with him, we got a lot of info from him. And then obviously with him being out on tour, the communication was, kind of a little bit here and there. And we'd send prototypes out to him. We'd send him emails with screenshots of CAD. And then when we really got to the last, pretty much like probably the real last iteration, we machined 5 heads that were all kind of similar, but were different in ways that they were on the edges and the back. And he was at the Scottish Open. Sam went over there that week and brought the prototypes with him. And then Sam would just text me and say, "This is the one he likes, but change this, this, and this." We refined that. And then we showed it to him one more time. We had a couple more changes where he really kind of wanted the corners to look like the Mez because he's a Mez player. And we made those changes. And then that's how it came about, is his input. He is a mad tinkerer. Like, it's fun to work with those guys and the pros, and especially Adam. He's such a nice dude, and get his input. And he right before the launch, he sent a really nice email to Kevin and I, being so excited to be a part of the process. And it was like, well, man, you made it easy. Thank you as well. But it was fun to work with him on this, and I know that people have seen that he's kind of switched between his Oz and his Mez. I mean, and that's all personal preference. I mean, I think that in some cases I saw where people were like, "Oh, didn't you design this? Why aren't you using it?" Well, it's like we designed it with input from him, and for him, he needs to be confident in what he's using. And there's some alignment features on the Mez that he really counts on, and so that's where you saw him towards the end of the year kind of switch back, which is fine. Like he's a pro, and that's his job, so he needs to use the tools that he appreciates and that is going to make him confident. So it was really a great process.
That's fascinating, and love that he helped create the putter that I love so much. That's kind of cool. I've always been a fan of his, especially since he won that Masters however many years ago it was.
2013, yeah.
Yeah. In the rain. Let's go, Ozzy, with the fist pump. One of the fascinating things you told me while we were walking around Sheep Ranch, which, if I'm jealous that you live 2.5 hours from Bandon and have that pretty much in your backyard. You mentioned about that it's tour players reaching out to you guys, that it's not y'all trying to push your product onto these players. It's them seeing other players have success on the putting greens with it and them calling y'all. Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the interesting facts is that, and it's publicly known that we don't pay players. I mean, I think that speaks to the technology. We consider ourselves a technology company. So to see a player that's like, hey, they'll hit up Sam, they'll hit up Brandon from our director of tour, Liam, who's been out on tour for us. He's now the director of user experience, and they have such a plethora of knowledge with working with these guys. They do such a good job of just creating conversation, of talking about what are the things that you're looking for, and they don't have to push it on them. So tour players we get a few that stop by here, and they're usually on their way to Bandon to go play, and they know that we're here, and Eugene's the closer airport. And it's amazing to see and hear them talk about function and with their putting stroke and things that us as amateurs would never think about, that they're so tuned into the minute detail that, seeing them come to us and be like, "Hey, look, I want to try it." And then once they work with our tour guys, with Liam and Brandon, it's amazing the amount of knowledge that they have and bring in. So they'll say things that give us ideas to, okay, how can we make it better, and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well, and I guess it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago, social media blows up because Charlie Woods has an incredible run at an amateur event.
Yeah.
And I immediately recognized that he's playing with one of your putters. And I think I fired off a text or maybe something on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And so it's spreading like wildfire, and it's because it works. So, I mean, were y'all expecting to hear from the Woods family, or was that just out of the blue? You got an email or a text, and there it went.
From what I know, Charlie reached out on his own. Like,
That's awesome.
He reached out to Sam, I think, and was like, "Hey, man, I don't really know. I was upstairs the day that it happened, and he's like, hey, I want to try your stuff, and it's like, there you go. It's people.
What color do you want?
Yeah. How many do you want, and what color do you want? What sideline do you want? Right. So yeah, that's a good example of guys recognizing the technology, and they're like, hey, look, I want to see what this is all about. And for some of them, we've had handfuls of guys that have tried it. It didn't fit for them, and that's fine, because as you know, there's so much feel in putting, and your visual presence, all of your senses of feel, that if it works for them, it works for them, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's like we're not, it doesn't make it automatic, but kind of like how you described, we're trying to remove one element in that, what the putter's doing, so that you just have to focus on your line and speed. And in the end, we're trying to make people better putters at the end of the day. Like it's just trying to help the amateur to the professional be better. And so for those guys to reach out on their own because they know about the technology or have heard about it, or they grab one of their other tour player buddies when, nobody was looking, and they're out there and they're like trying to try it out. And they're like, all right, I might try this. So it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, and like just my putter. I mean, you built the shaft lean into it, so I don't have to forward press anymore. Like that's just a minor thing, but it's completely changed my putting stroke, and it's taking one element out of my stroke that potentially would go wrong. So, and that's not even angle balance. That's just building the shaft a specific way that meets my needs, to where previously I had to forward press and start, and that just everything then could go wrong from there. So I appreciate the heck out of you.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about that is that the balancing process with the shaft being forward actually helps the balancing process. So there is kind of a little bit of a misconception that we're forward pressing the putter. You're not really forward pressing it. The grip, if you have what we call our press grips, right? So
which one this is.
Yep, exactly. So what we're doing is the grip axis. So on that putter, for example, has 2 degrees of lean and a 2-degree grip. We're canceling out the lean, and so that the grip is perpendicular to the ground. So kind of to what you said, it's like you could still have kind of a forward press trigger, and I do that so that I don't drag the putter on the way back, because I don't hover my putter. But it does, in some cases, like you're like, I appreciate that. In some cases, for some people, they focus so much on the shaft that they think the putter aims left, because the parallax of the angle of the shaft going back to the right in the face, some people's first inclination when they pick up our putter is they feel like it aims left, because they're so fixated. They've never had a shaft that leans forward that they think the putter's aiming left. And if they just get their setup, focus on the face and where the ball's at, and make their stroke, the shaft kind of disappears. So the forward press part, you're not technically. So if you think about like a plumber's neck on a standard, like like an old blade, like a Ping or a Newport or whatever, if you draw a line straight down and then it jogs over with a plumber's neck, if you did the same thing for us, we just do the line at an angle, but the grip's in the same spot in relationship to the face. So it's I'm glad that you asked about it. So I'm not telling you because I'm happy that you're happy about it, but I see these comments online. They're like, I use a L.A.B now. Now I forward press like Jordan Spieth. And I'm like, it's just.
And that's so, because I have noticed, and you pointed this out to me when you brought it to me, that the grip isn't in the shaft is not in the center of the grip. And so that's what you were just talking about, how it actually aligns with it. And I'm not very smart. But I understand why it works and how it works. I don't understand how you got there, but it all makes sense to me once you kind of draw simpler diagrams and explain.
Yeah, no, I won't make any Auburn jokes. Don't worry, because I'm a huge Bo Jackson fan, so I won't do that. But
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. So another fun topic to talk about was the Oz being our first putter that we offered with no shaft lean, with zero. You can put a straight grip on it. So when you order the putter that you have, you can order it with a 2 degree, which then, you know, your options for grips are the grips that we design and make that have that kind of cancel it out. And then there's the zero. And when we did the zero, it's, you know, that was a task in itself in order to get it to balance, because it's a little bit more difficult to balance a putter with the zero shaft lean. But the idea behind that was that we have people that you want to use your own grip. You might not like the grips that we have to offer. With zero shaft lean on the Oz 1i, you can use whatever grip you want. Like people, you can, and some people don't know this, like when you put your order in, you can send your grip to us and we will build your putter with that grip. The other cool thing is, because of how it's balanced, that zero shaft lean, you can replace the grip. The only issue is the swing weight might change if the grip isn't the exact same weight in grams. But it was kind of a cool feature for people to be able to change their own grip or put whatever grip they want on it. And so the zero shaft lean was kind of an evolution for us too, and lab technology from years past.
I love that you guys started with a concept that worked and then have figured out a way to broaden your customer base, not changing how the product functions, but have created different avenues of ways to add your own personal putter grip or whatever you like to have on your putter with that center grip option. That's really cool.
And so we just with that real quick, so people know that they see JJ Spawn, you know, he uses a Scotty Cameron grip. I mean, when they zoom in, they can see he's taking a marker and he's taking out, you can't see the letters, but when they zoom in and he's crouched down and he has the putter right here and he's focused on lining up a putt, they'll see that and they're like, oh, is that a zero lean DF3? And it's not. But the thing about it is that, so if his grip's leaning forward, you're right-handed, this is my opinion, kinematically as a right-handed person, your right hand's reaching down lower. With the lean, he's using a straight grip. He actually has the shaft lean forward, and when he's making a stroke, his grip is at an angle too. But as a right-handed player, it kind of fits. And that's why we noticed as soon as he won, we saw so many pictures of people that took their press grip off, the angled grip.
Yeah.
And they put a straight grip on because they're like, I want to be like JJ, which is totally rad. I mean, that's super fun. The thing is, you didn't break the putter. I mean, there are cases where, from a balancing standpoint, if you change the off-axis grip to a straight grip, that the balance will be slightly off. And we recommend that people send their putter in. We'll put that grip on for them and then rebalance their putter. And it's a small fee. They send it in. Those putters usually get turned around pretty quick. But the idea behind that is that, like, people being creative or seeing something that works for somebody else, and they're like, I wouldn't have thought that I would like to try that, but now I would like to try that, and they do it.
That's awesome. So I can't imagine what it was like for you guys when JJ's 64-footer sank. I mean, were you at the office? Were y'all watching together because you knew he was in contention? What was that day like as an employee of L.A.B? Because you could argue that's why he won the tournament.
I was at home. Everybody was at home. We've done a few watch parties here. Usually it's the Masters. We'll do some Masters stuff here, hanging out the office and have little parties and stuff. But that one in particular, I was at home, and of course my phone blew up, like all my other coworkers, their phones blew up. But it was pretty amazing. And then the putter throw and the images that got captured were pretty amazing to see. You know, the whole, we had some kind of some taglines of, as it was flying through there, they're like, look, it's even balanced in the air. it's lying all balanced in the air. But it was amazing because if you think about it, like, all he had to do was snuggle it up and tap it in.
Right.
And after, you know, having Victor's putt give him a read, the dude was locked in.
Right.
And I mean, that was I don't need to explain it to you. That was a bomb of all bombs. Like,
right.
When it dropped, it was heard around the world for sure, and we all heard it.
A crescendo on his day, absolutely. Yep. I mean, it just, because I'm one that wants tournaments to be tight and have potentially extra holes, whatnot. I mean, I actually cheered when Rory rinsed it at 8-man corner because I was like, okay, he's coming back to the field at the Masters. We might have some drama, and we did. But you just had to tip your hat to what JJ did. I mean, rolled it beautifully, and it was your technology. So, yeah, I feel like that was you didn't need to validate yourselves, but that was just like, hey, look, yeah, we know exactly what we're doing and we're really good at it. And I mean, watching him that week was outstanding, especially knowing the people that created the product that was in his hand. Um, do you guys use? I know you have a team. You said about 7, or maybe you're about to be 8. Um, how does AI factor into what you guys are doing? Just the next 5-10 years. Are you using it? I mean, because golf is such a feel game, but then you've got requests like you had from Adam Scott of make it look like a Porsche and those kind of things. How are you using AI? What is that like in your world?
I am not, and maybe it's because I'm older. So there, and as far as I know, and maybe in different groups of the company and in sales or marketing research, there might be in that those are all research tools. But from a design standpoint, we're still, we use SolidWorks to design with, and we do hand sketches and we 3D print. We got some 3D printers here, and we'll make models and 3D print stuff to see what it looks like. So it looks a little different than it does in CAD. But for the most part, no, we don't use any AI generated kind of features and things yet. That doesn't mean we won't, but we haven't really even talked about it yet because we're still kind of in that mode of we've got guys that are here on our team that have been doing the same kind of the same stuff that I have in different industries that have designed the same way. We get an idea, we start modeling it up. So no AI yet.
Interesting. I was curious, just because that's the hottest thing right now, even in my industry, is utilizing it to figure out the appropriate contacts to try and target. I mean, it's everywhere. The kind of the elephant in the room, I guess, in recent news, you guys have had venture capital come in. How has that been, as much as or as little as you can say about that experience?
Oh no, no, I can totally talk about it. So yeah, private equity firm L. Catterton purchased us last month, and I think that we couldn't have been happier with a better partner. I mean, if you look at their portfolio, people can look up L. Catterton and see what they own. I mean, the first few off the top of my head are like Louis Vuitton, Peloton, Hennessy. What they're going to do for us is give us more horsepower to grow. We're still operating the same way that we are. We have the same group of people in place. We're adding more people because of that to add more structure in all departments. And that's truly what it is. They're a great support system for us to continue to grow. And that's what they want for us. And that's what's so awesome about having them be the company that bought us, is that it wasn't like people, because we caught some flack online because when you think about private equity coming to buy a company, they're either buying a company when it's going down or going up, and we're going up. So to have that type of company purchase us and we're on the way up, it just meant, more great things for us, more great resources. Internationally, it's, we people don't realize, like, yeah, we have international sales, but they're a small percentage compared to our, North American sales. So that part of it is just, there's a huge market of golf in every other country in the world, right? Asia, in Europe and stuff like that. So they're really going to support us in that growth. And we have roadmaps over the next coming years and things like that. And it's not, because of my role as vice president, I was on the inside track during the whole kind of transition or transaction, I should say. And so I was comfortable the whole time. But if you weren't, there might have been some discomfort of like, oh my gosh, we're getting purchased. Am I going to have a job? Are they going to move the company? Are they going to get rid of everybody and just start over? And so to be able to have our all hands meetings, Sam and the team have done such a great job conveying the message of what L. Catterton means for us. And it's all positive, dude. It's been super awesome. And I love to be able to have a platform with you to be able to say that, because Sam's written about it in social media posts. And he's done a great job with it. It's just, it feels good to be able to tell you as a friend, like it's good. Cause like I got texts like, do you still have a job? And
Right.
yeah, dude, we're good, man. Like we're kicking butt, and we're going to kick even more butt now.
Yeah.
As we climb, this mountain. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, and one of the things you mentioned on our beautiful walk that Saturday afternoon or Friday afternoon was I think you had a backlog of orders of like, it might have been 8 weeks, maybe even longer than that, if you had gone online and ordered a putter. So I'd imagine their influx of cash is probably going to help with that, to quicker turnaround. But yeah, that kind of blew my mind. That just because I'm kind of the person that if I see it's going to take 8 weeks, 10 weeks for me to get something, I'm probably not going to place the order. Now, having used your putter, I feel completely different about that, and that might be a one-off where I'm like, oh, absolutely, hell yes, I'm ordering this putter. Are they going to help with that in terms of turnaround time with orders and just staff, manufacturing, all the things?
So I don't know that it'll be kind of an influx of cash to help it. Really, it's just refining our processes and we're always like, hey, we're going to catch up. I think right now we're back down to like the standard 4-week turnaround time. But at that time, yeah, it was 8 weeks and it had been that way through most of the summer, which is obviously a good problem to have. But to that, with them helping, I think that structurally, if you look at process and being efficient, getting staff in place to help those efficiencies and processes, that's where it will help. So for right now, we're busting our tails. We got a couple shifts going, and we're really just trying to keep up throughout the summer. What's amazing to us is when we get to see golf data tech numbers of like sales for golf equipment. There's kind of a upwards trajectory after January, and it peaks up in June and it dips down in July. Then it kind of picks back up through the end of the summer and it tapers off towards the winter, and then it does the same thing again. For us, it just goes up and stays all the way across the whole year, which is amazing. Because I mean, if you think about it, we're just a putter company. It's not like the other OEMs that also make full swing clubs. So it's one of those things where we're constantly battling it. I recently did a work golf trip and I got to visit some clubs, and part of our task was to talk to the members. They just placed their orders. We had orders shipped in the days that we were arriving for members at these clubs. And we were prepped that before we got there that we were going to get beat up on the lead time. And I was fine to talk about it. I was like, look, we are trying as hard as we can, and we are putting processes in place to make things more efficient so that we can build. The reality is, we had a media day here for the release of the HS, where we invited news outlets, golf news outlets, and social media influencers to come out and have Oz HS Day, where they got fit. They got to do a tour of the building. I talked about R&D a little bit. Sam toured them around, and we played golf with them. And then they got to have their putter built that day, their HS putter that built that day. And then you've seen the videos. A lot of those guys released them yesterday when the putter came out. But those kinds of insights that people get to see, like a putter touches 8 people's hands, no matter if it's a stock. So if you go to PGA Superstore and you're buying a stock putter with a steel shaft, it's a black head with one alignment line, that putter gets built the same way as a custom putter.
And so 8 people are part of that process.
Eight people touch that putter as it goes through to get it built. And so the balancing process is its own kind of thing where you've got to be a skilled technician to build them. And we have a lot of training here internally that we do. We call like Lab 101 and Lab 102 to train new builders as they come through the process. But you've got, shaft prep, gripping, the build process, the QC that goes through shipping and then out the door. Every single one of those putters gets touched the same way, whether it's a stock or a custom. So it's not put together. If you think about like standard club building, or you compare it to other companies that also make putters, the process is much more in depth for us. So we know that. And so we have to be diligent from a manufacturing engineering standpoint to try to improve those processes, because like I said, when I first started, they would ship like 225 putters a day. And I was like, wow, just putters, that's a lot. Now it's like 1,200 to 1,500 a day. And to know that we got to have the people in place that have this,
putters a day.
Yeah, the same amount of enthusiasm and passion, which all of our team from every end of the building is exactly the same, which is amazing to see too. Everybody that's here loves to be here, and the quest that we're on to make people better putters. And so to see that enthusiasm and to see how that functions and flows, it's cool when people get to come by and get a tour. And so that's why it was fun to have those guys here during that media day for HS, because it gave them some insight where they may have had questions of like, man, why does it take so long? Well, now you get to see what's going on, and you walk through and you're tucking your elbows in to walk through production, because there's so many putters going through there every day.
That is wild. That's very cool. Well, I'm a huge fan. I guess I got mine. It was 1st of February, I think, and it does not come out of my bag. I think I've even texted you when I've had great days putting. I'm like, I think I texted you. I had actually my career best round a few weeks ago and putted out of my mind, and it was all because of your technology. So, thank you for that. For a day that I will never forget.
Those are the best stories. And look, there's honeymoon periods. We talk about that. Like people, I did it. So my first putter I had 2 lab putters before I worked at Lab. I'd ordered the Mez, and then while my order was in process, the link had been released. And so I remember emailing Sam because I was a blade putter, and I was like, "Hey, you got that new blade coming out. Should I cancel my Mez and go with the link?" He goes, "No, no, no, no." He goes, "Don't cancel." He goes, "Do what you want to do," but he goes, if you can afford it, like try both. And I could, because what I had done is I sold a bunch of my old putters so that I could pay for these other putters to kind of offset it, right? And I did, and he was right. Like having both gave me an experience of the blade version of what lab technology is, and then at the time the Mez Max. And I went out my first round, and it was still frozen out, so we had a frost delay, and I went out onto it. It wasn't even at my home course. I went to another course because our course was closed because it was so cold out. Went to another course and played, and I got paired with 3 buddies, and so I was the random guy that didn't know who I was. And the nobody in my area where I lived in Washington really had a lab except for me. It was that, still that small. And these guys were looking at me, and I had like 8 birdies. It was like 32 degrees out. Like it was cold. And they're looking at me, they're like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Dude, this is this thing, lab putter." It's like, whatever. But then the next time I went out, it wasn't 8 birdies. So it's one of those things where we do talk about that honeymoon period where you'll light it up. But the tendencies when you have a putter, people when they first get our putter, they're like, "Man, this feels really light." And so people send a lot of their putters back in for service to get them the heavy option. So we offer a standard, we build everything to swing weight, then we offer a heavy option and a light option. The majority of everybody orders the standard, and they get the putter and they're like, "Hey, this feels light." The interesting thing about that is your brain measures torque as weight. So when you're taking a putter back in the backstroke and it's not trying to twist open or twist closed, your brain can't feel that. So it feels like it's lighter. Our standard builds we don't build the head weight, but if you compare it to like a 365 gram mallet, our standard head weight on most putters is usually about 370 grams. People don't realize that because we built the swing weight, but because you can't feel that in your hands, it feels lighter. So the other tendency or complaint that people have is they'll be missing left, which is a classic. If you've been playing golf for a long time, you have muscle memory. And so your muscle memory at impact is to close, and you'll close and miss left. So you're using our putter, you're fighting the technology and you're closing at impact and you'll miss left. So we have drills and we have some videos online where we talk about people lightening their grip, or we have this one where we say, take your grip and take your thumbs off. You take your thumbs off and just let the putter swing and let the technology work. Then they're like, "Oh, okay."
Exactly. You did that to me at Sheep Ranch. You said, "Take your thumbs off the putter and swing it." And I think I drained like a 12-footer, and I was like, "Oh, it's that easy."
It's true. It literally is trying to stay square to the pad.
I love it. I love it. You've been incredibly generous with your time tonight. But I want to get you out of here with a few questions though that are just kind of some quick hitters. What is your favorite new course that you've played in 2025?
Probably. I mean, I've been fortunate recently. I had a wild LA trip. LA Country Club, Riviera, Brentwood, Hillcrest, Victoria Club, and Riverside all in 1 week.
You hit the highlights.
Yeah. Honestly, Hillcrest was really fun. I mean, it's an amazing course. The views there, it's epic to be in Los Angeles, and they have this at Hillcrest. They have a turn station snack bar that's amazing. It's super modern. The corners open up, the walls slide into each other, so the one whole corner is open. And from that spot up on that hill, you pass that spot 3 times. You're next to Century City, but you can see Beverly Hills, downtown LA, where the Hollywood sign and all that stuff all in one view. And it was a pretty amazing course. So I'll put that up there for right now. Yeah.
So you mentioned Riv. Did you lay up on 10 or did you go for it?
The wind was into us, and the caddy told me to hit it over to the left where everybody does. And because it was so windy, I went ahead and hit a cut into the wind, and I ended up right before the trap and then hit on it. I made par.
Nice.
So,
nice.
but
I
it,
had about that one because that's one of my favorite holes in golf. I was lucky enough to go to the Genesis a couple years ago, and the guy I was with was like, "Hey, let's go walk the course," and I was like, "No, I'm going to stand right here, and I want to watch number 10 all day long because it can be carnage, or you can. I mean, it's just.
Dude.
I love how thought provoking that golf hole
it
is.
is because it's such a when you go straight at it, as you know, it's such a narrow green front to back and side to side. It's long,
Right.
so hitting over to that left side, it just the wind for some reason it was wild. The wind came up as soon as we got to the back. It started there. So when you're going down what they call Hogan's Alley down the back, like we were dead into the wind, 30-mile-an-hour wind, like straight at us. That whole back. So into the wind on 16, that tiny green.
Yeah.
I did birdie 16.
Very
So
nice. We love
I had
that.
a nice stiff shot in there about 6 feet and made a birdie on 16. So that was pretty good.
What is your favorite club in the bag right now that is not a lab putter?
I'd have to say I was fortunate enough to get a new the Cobra driver, the Adapt 10K, and the reason that I like it is because the other 10K high MOI drivers are really big, and the Cobra one isn't, and I just hit it really well. And I'm a constant tinkerer. Like I've got a locker full of shafts, and so just for context, the Cobra driver for me this year is my fourth driver this year. And so my son, my oldest son who plays golf, he jokes with me, and I was like, he's good. He jokes with me that he's like, wow, I haven't seen your bag stay the same this long in a minute. So I got those Shrixon irons, and I got that Cobra driver, and it's I've been playing pretty well. So yeah, right now that Cobra driver has been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Dream foursome.
Ooh, dang. Golf or non-golf foursome?
They don't have to be golf, and you can't say Jared DeAnda and Bert Neal and Josh Decker.
Oh, come on! You know that's the thing is I got to play
Northern
Jared's
Force
club.
Sheep Ranch. Yeah.
I got to play Jared's club when I was there. The Victoria Club.
the Vic,
Yeah, I played the Vic on Friday that week, and it was amazing. By the way, if you
I
haven't
didn't go out
gone,
there. I haven't gone. He's been telling me
dude,
to come out.
it's so rad, and it's right across the street from his house. Dream foursome.
Yeah, they don't have to
I
be
think
golf.
Doesn't have to be golfers. I would say I think it would be fun to play with. Gosh, there's a lot of I'm a baseball guy, so I think there's some fun baseball guys like. Oh man, John Smoltz. I think it would be fun. I think I'd put John Smoltz in the group. I think Ricky Fowler would be the golfer that I would pick just because of his attitude and a little bit of smack talk that I think he could bring that would be fun to have. And then, gosh, really put me on the spot because I have like a huge laundry list of people, and then when you ask, you can't think of them. And then I guess my son, I always like to try to throw him in, and if I ever have an opportunity to play with somebody fun and cool, I always like to invite my oldest son who's playing collegiate golf this year. He just started this week. So
that's awesome. Good for him. Where's he playing?
He's playing at Bushnell University here in Eugene. He got a golf scholarship and an esports scholarship. So for every teenager out there, he's living the dream. He's playing on an esports team for the college, and he's playing on the golf team. So
that's incredible. Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm really proud. Would you rather do sweep or chase daylight and play in golden hour?
I like the early morning.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the last one, because it's the name of the show, do you hit the driver off the deck?
I don't, because I carry a really strong 3-wood. And as the engineer nerd in me, I carry a 3-wood with a 7X shaft that if I can just hit it 240 all day long, but if I really need it, I can hit it further than my driver. So I feel that with the way that technology is, I'd rather have a really badass 3-wood that I can, if I'm that far out and I'm like, oh, in a situation where somebody would drive her off the deck, I don't go driver off the deck. Sorry, Decker.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I got to ask a question. Brian, like I said, thank you. It's very kind of you to give us all this time this evening. A blast. I need to go back and just listen to this and read this because I feel like there's things about my own putter that I don't even know about that I need to try and digest, and that will just help me improve my putting stroke. But thank you for the time. For Brian Parks, I'm Josh Decker. This has been Off the Deck.